So welcome back. This is now part 2 of my split screen multi-track video tutorial. And so first of all, a quick reminder of the process. So first thing we need to do, we need to fire up Audacity, and we're going to drag in the individual tracks which I recorded earlier, which I've put here: Schubert, alto, bass, soprano and tenor. So the easiest way to do that is I just drag these in. Here they come. So here they all are in Audacity. We will save this. It's not actually alto. I'm going to save it as Schubert Grand Rondo. So that's what. And let's also, if we go to view, we can do track size and we can fit to height. So now we can see everything more clearly. You can see that each one starts with these 4 claps. So this is what we're going to use to sync things together. But first of all, just to make it a little easier, let's just get them in order. You can see here that's soprano, bass, alto. So if you grab a bit of, how do I do it? You have to grab a little bit of space in here. There we go. So I've grabbed the tenor, pull that up. Grab the soprano, pull that right up to the top. So we've got soprano, alto, and the bass needs to go down. So you grab and you hold the right button to do that. And now, if Schubert had been a fan of John Cage, he may have been entertained by how it sounds when you put it all together. However, that's not really what we're aiming for. So what we need to do, we need to drag things to sync together. Let's zoom in a little bit. Now that is Control 1, if I remember right. Control 1, you can also find it if you go to View and Zoom. So here's the 4 claps of the tenor. Now if we click on this thing, this means we can now... Oh, why is that not working? Because I need to stop it. Right, sometimes if you try to drag it, you just press stop if it's not working. So we've got the drag tool. Let's get everything approximately lined up now. So there we have so remember that we're the ones that just have 2, 3 and 4, so we have to get the last clap lined up in each case. And there we go. Now that should be roughly right. Now let's go back to that. So I click on a point here and then just play it. Let's see how it sounds now. Right. So you can hear it's close, but the soprano seems a little bit behind and it's not quite lined up so well. Let's zoom in a little bit more, and now let's fine tune this. That may be zoomed in a bit too much, but so the soprano seems to be, you can see actually the bass is also behind, look at that. So let's go back, we click back on here and drag, see, I have to press stop, drag, right. Move the bass so that it sort of, see that's the upbeat and this is the downbeat, and you can see also, you can see there that the soprano is a little bit behind, can't you? So that looks better, doesn't it? Now let's hear how it sounds. Right, and now of course the bass maybe lined up here, but it isn't lined up there because I basically played it slightly late in the first beat when I was recording. You can see that in the claps as well. So we have to make a bit of a compromise. It's a slightly approximate thing doing this. There's no way to do it absolutely precisely unless you recorded it absolutely precisely. But let's get the second beat lined up. That seems to line up fairly well now. You see there's sorry, that's the second bar. They seem to line up. Now let's have a listen to that, see how that sounds. Right, well that's pretty good. It's not perfect, but the playing on the recording isn't perfectly together. I hope you appreciated just how together the alto and the soprano were here. I'm really pleased about that. That's probably about as together as we're going to get it. Now I think the balance here is pretty good, but just you can just change the balance of any of the tracks in here. So particularly if it's different performers on different instruments, different recording devices, you may well need to do quite a bit of adjusting here. And the other thing you can do is you can change the panning. Now, I would suggest, of course, listen to it through headphones because then you'll hear much more clearly. But what we could do, for example, is that when you're at a piano, the bass is kind of on your left and the soprano's on your right. So what we could do is just move the soprano up to about maybe 60% or something, and the alto up to 20, and then the tenor 20 left, and the bass. So what this is doing, it's just moving the sound so that it feels, it doesn't all come from the same direction, so you get a bit more depth that way. I'll play that, but of course you won't hear the difference but if you did have headphones you would hear the difference. Yeah. Right, I think that's pretty good. So now what we need to do, we just need to cut off the ends. We don't actually want the claps. Well, we don't want the claps when we finally hear it, but we are going to need the claps when we coordinate this with the video. So what we're going to do now is, let's go back to here, and we need to make a cut. So sorry, I'm doing this the wrong way, aren't I? Yes, so what I need to do, I think this will work. Let's see if that works. I've selected everything before the claps and now I press delete. Yes, that worked. So now it starts at the beginning just with the claps. Great. So of course at the end, if we go right to the end now, we'll find that I just recorded the first page or so. So you can see the music ends here. We don't need any of this stuff later on. So let's delete that. So we can save that, Control S. But if we save it, we won't be able to use it in any other program. So what we now need to do, we need to go to Export, and there's all these different options, MP3, Wave. I'm going to do Wave here. Videos, we'll put it in there. The tracks will be mixed down and exported as one stereo file. That's exactly what we want. So I just press OK to all of these things, and there, that's done now. So now we have the audio files all synced nicely together. What we need to do is sort out the video. So I'm loading up Shotcut, and we're going to do this now. I must say, Shotcut, it's a little bit limited, but it does the job, and it is free. So, Grand Rondo. Sometimes it's not the most user-friendly. So we're going to call it that. This is a good setting for the video mode, 1080, 25 frames per second. And we're going to start, let's just call it 2, because this is not my first attempt at doing this. Right, so I minimize that, because that way it's easier to drag stuff in. We're going to drag in the 4 video files. So there they go, and we're going to drag in the audio, which is this one here. So now we can maximize this. It's start trying to play it. Right, now we go to timeline. We need to add an audio track and 4 video tracks. So that's Control I. label each of these, so we'll call that soprano, alto, tenor, bass, and we'll call this audio. I wish it was possible to make these higher so that you can actually see more. I haven't worked out a way of doing that, but anyway, at least we've got the 4 tracks. We've got it all labelled, so now it's hard to see which one of that one's soprano, so that goes here. This one is tenor, so that goes here. This one's alto, that goes here. Bass, and then the audio goes down here. So now we can see the sound files and we can see where the claps are. So first thing to do is to sort of get a rough synchronization here. So what we'll do is we'll move each of these. So sorry, I've clicked on this one, which is scrub while dragging, and I drag everything so that the claps are roughly together. It keeps trying to play, and you can hear the sound wasn't very good then, which is why we did it in Audacity as well. It's trying to play all these different tracks at the same time and feeling a little overwhelmed by that. Right, so now this here, you can drag it around here, or you can also drag it here, but let's just keep that there for now. And what we want to do is just cut each of the tracks at this point. So this is cut, or split at playhead it calls it. I wish there was a way of doing this all together, but I haven't worked out how to do that. But although if I select those together, I can delete them all. Right, so now we've got them all more or less starting at the same place. Let's just drag them all to the beginning of the timeline. And we can do a bit of fine tuning. So we have them all there. This is the zoom, so we can zoom in at the beginning, go to the beginning, and now just drag it. There we go. Now if the claps are synchronized, then there. And you can see now the upbeat and the down. Oop, I just did something silly. Control Z to go back. Right, it's very easy to do things that are silly in this program, so you just have to be very, very careful. Right, now we've got things synced up. I think what we can actually do now is just cut off the clap, so we just start off with the music. So I'll drag the, whatever they call it, the play line, did they call it? Playhead. Drag that here, and then again cut each track. The play line has moved. I don't want that. Right, and then and also the audio. Let's trim the audio here. Right, now we're going to get rid of the claps, okay? And again, drag everything to the beginning. Now that was a mistake. Let's okay. Yes, of course the other thing you can do is we can just lock, let's just lock each of the tracks in place now. And if I go to the very end, that means that I'm less likely to make mistakes. You can see the end of the music here, actually, so we need to use this way. We drag this timeline right to the very end, and then, well, let's let it finish. Let's have it finish at the same time the audio finishes, which is there, and then again we select each track in turn. Hang on, I think I need to unlock it for this. So see, it's slightly awkward, but it does work. Right, so now we just get rid of each of those. Great, so now we have the video and the audio synced, we save that. What we now have to do is for each of the parts we select where it's going to go. So this is under filters, so click on filters. So now we're on the soprano, and we go down to size and position. We want the soprano in the top left. So there we are. Alto. We want the alto in the top right. Tenor. We want the tenor bottom left. So size and position. Presets, bottom left, and finally we want the bass in the bottom right, size and position, bottom right. So now we have the screen how we want it, we have the tracks how we want them. Save that. That should be pretty much it. Just to say with these filters, I mean in an ideal world it would be nice to zoom in a bit more on where the hand is on the piano and maybe get rid of some of this space. It's very difficult to do that. There is a setting under filter rotate and scale, so with scale you can use that to zoom in. Also going back to size and position, there are these other settings, so you can do boxes of different sizes and you can move things, so it does have more flexibility if you want to experiment with all of this. This will do for now, and if you see, if I go back to the beginning and I just play it, you see it really struggles, but you see it sounds awful, but you can see how the hands are moving together. This is why we edited everything in Audacity, because of course you just can't hear whether things are working or not. Now we've done all this editing, it's really important to mute the audio on the video files so that we only have the audio that we mixed together in Audacity. So I've just done that here, and then we're going to export it. You see, I've already tried to export it once because I forgot that final step, but we're going to export it again now. So export file, Grand Rondo 2. Yes, I do want to replace it, and there we go. So now the computer's going to do its work. I guess this will take about 5 or 6 minutes for just over 1 minute clip of music. So it does take a while, but you'll get what you want at the end of it. Now, regarding copyright, if you ever post anything online, it's really important you follow this because it's the law. Number one, you have to get permission from all the performers and acknowledge them appropriately. Number two, if the music is in copyright, now if you're the composer, then you have the copyright, so that's fine, you can give yourself permission. But if the composer is alive or they died within 70 years, then you need to get their permission either from the composer themselves or from their publisher. So now let's hear the final result.